boys and girls, and all of God's children. Welcome to the South District Church School neighborhood. I'm Sister Angie Spears, the excited South District Church School Superintendent. And our presiding elder is the Reverend Janet Jenkins Sturdivant of the South District of the Philadelphia Annual Conference. Again, we welcome you today. And what a wonderful introduction today from the Reverend Maxine Johnson. She is the pastor of Metropolitan AME Church in Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. Again, we're so excited to have you join us today. Our special word for today is vindicated. Vindicated. When I look up the definition for vindicated, it says justification against denial. I still find that a little bit hard to understand. So I like to think of vindicated as proof that you aren't guilty or proof that you're telling the truth. And in today's lesson is titled Wisdom's Vindication, or in our youth book, it's called Proving Your Wisdom. And we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 11, verses 7 through 19. If you'll remember, our current quarter is titled Many Faces of Wisdom, and we started out in the book of Proverbs, which was written mostly by King Solomon, where we learned about wisdom. And now, as we go to another face of wisdom in our New Testament, we're going to be looking at Jesus. And like this lesson says, proving your wisdom, although we're starting at Matthew 11, verses 7 through 19, it's going to be important to know the background of this. The background is that John the Baptist is in prison. And John the Baptist sends out his disciples to Jesus to ask him, are you the one, or should we look for another? So let's hear what Jesus answers. In verse 7, Matthew 11:7, as they went away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John the Baptist. What did you go out into the wilderness to look at? A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? Someone dressed in soft robes? Look, who wears soft robes? Look, those who wear soft robes are in royal palaces. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, see, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before them. So Jesus is acknowledging people have preconceived notions of what the Savior is going to look like. And some are expecting him to come like a king, dressed in soft or kingly apparel. And we know that Jesus came very humbly into the world. He was born in a stable, the last place you'd expect to find a king. Let's go down to verses 12. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John came. In verse 18 and 19, for John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, look, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds. And that's our memory verse. Wisdom is vindicated by her deeds. And Jesus is saying that the people, they're just not pleased. They're not pleased with John the Baptist. John the Baptist, he did everything just so strictly. He was not drinking at all, and they still said, oh, he has a devil. Jesus befriends people that are drinking and etc. And then they go, oh, look at his company. The people just are not pleased. But the answer that Jesus gives to take back to John the Baptist is that judge me by my deeds. The lame can walk. The dead are now risen. Those who were sick are healed. Judge me by my deeds, because Jesus' deeds have vindicated him. When I talked to Patches and Buttercup about today's lesson, and once they began to understand what vindication means, they both had excellent examples. What did you tell us, Patches? Patches says that a friend had an uncle who went to jail. And the uncle kept telling everybody, I'm innocent, I didn't do it. Well, they still sent him to jail. Well, luckily there was a local university with a law class, and they went to the uncle. Every week they take notes, etc., and they wrote down everything, and they presented his case again. And guess what? He was vindicated unanimously. They were able to prove he wasn't even at the scene of the crime. Excellent example of being vindicated. Patches had another story of vindication, and this one's kind of fun. He said that last summer, they went on a road trip, and they were headed to Chicago. They went to, St. Louis, and then Nashville. They had left Chicago, and it was nighttime. Patches' little sister Daisy had to go to the bathroom. So the father had to get off of the main highway looking for a bathroom. They found a bathroom for her. It's really dark, but they never saw the exit, the ramp to get back on the highway. So they're driving down this long road, dark, no lights, just a one-lane road. And even Patches' mother asked the father, are you sure we're on the right road? And the father said, yeah, I felt yeah, we're on the right road. Patches said it didn't sound convincing to him either. So they keep down this long, dark road, and they're getting really concerned. And what happens about 15, 20 minutes later? All of a sudden, there's lights, there's a sign. It says Highway 55, and then the next sign said St. Louis, 10 miles away. So they were definitely on the right road, and Patches' father was vindicated. It was proof that they were on the right road. Great job, Patches. Did you have some examples for us, Buttercup, that you wanted to share? Buttercup says that he was with his cousin, his older cousin, in the store. The older cousin had ordered some shoes, some sneakers online, and they were the wrong size, so he went to take them back. Well, when he gets into the store, a security guard comes over to them and says, aren't you going to pay for those? And the cousin said, oh, these are my shoes. I'm just returning them. The security guard didn't believe him. And he says, do you have proof of that? Luckily, the cousin had a receipt, and he showed it to the security guard. He looked at it, and he goes, young man, I'm sorry. Go right ahead. That receipt vindicated him. Without it, that security guard was going to think that he took those right off the shelf, that he wasn't really in the store returning them. Great example, Buttercup. So vindication today, our topic being proving your wisdom. Jesus has to vindicate himself. And even though it's John the Baptist, this is the same John the Baptist who baptized Jesus, but now he's in prison. I guess he's getting a little discouraged, like, why am I in here, etc. And why isn't Jesus coming to rescue me? So he sends the disciples to ask, are you the one, or should we look for another? And then Jesus says, it's his deeds that vindicate him. He says, tell him, people are being raised. People are being healed. The people that are blind are now beginning to see. The works are the vindication. And there are some other scriptures that I love. If we look at the Gospel of John, where Jesus is telling the people who he is. John 10:11 says, I am the good shepherd, and I lay down my life for my sheep. John 8:12, I am the light of the world. John 10:37 and 38, and this flows in so perfectly with our lesson today. If I do not the works of my Father, believe me not. But if I do the works of my Father, then you should believe who I am. So Jesus' deeds vindicate him. They prove that he is who he says that he is. Let's take a look at our memory verse. Our memory verse is Matthew 11:19. Yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds. Can we do that together? Yet is by her. Can we do that together? Yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds. Excellent, excellent. We trust that you will join us next week. Next week, our lesson is going to be the boy Jesus, and we're going to be looking at Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, verse 1, and then we're going to be looking at the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verses 39 through 52. So I trust that you'll be able to read those and go over those in advance of that lesson next week. Until then, be blessed. Bye-bye.